you'd
Okay.
love those. So
So I think we gave enough time for people to join us, and we can start our today webinar. My name is Alexander Fridman. I am the founder and the CEO of company WAPI. And now WAPI is creating and doing a great job for all the e-commerce society. We're creating community. We're arranging the webinars. We're bringing the best speakers from all over the world to get knowledge and information from the field of e-commerce. And today with us is Filippo Bruno-Franco. He is e-commerce specialist, professional, and businessman, and also a former Amazon fashion senior manager. I hope I read it
that's a
correct
lot.
about
It's
the senior manager. But if I did not,
yeah, everything
you
is
just
right,
can
Alex.
tell us what
Everything
is
is
it
right.
now.
It's a long list,
So
long
hi,
name, long list.
yeah, yeah. Hi, Filippo. Maybe you can tell us some few words about yourself to introduce
Sure.
yourself.
Sounds great. So first of all, thanks Alex for your invite, and it's great. I think webinars are very useful and something I enjoyed as well during these last months. You learn lots of things, so I'll try to do my best for our audience. So, as you were saying, I'm Filippo Bruno-Franco. So I am Italian, originally from Pinerolo, which is a small town close to Turin, in Piedmont in Italy. I I did my studies between Italy and France, engineering, business management, and then I took a master degree in supply chain. So that's a little bit my core between business and supply
Ah,
chain. Uh, I studied then between Italy and France. So then I stayed to live. I spent the initial chunk of my career in Paris, in France, where I was working in automotive field, which was quite an interesting time, if you want, because it was during the last financial crisis. We can say we're in a financial crisis right now,
you mean
and
you
this
mean
thought,
2008, 2008,
yeah,
2009? Okay.
2007, yeah, 2007, 2008, yeah. And I think it was, in with all, of course, the downside of it, was very interesting because yeah, you were going through a challenging time. You have to change very quickly in a very established industry like automotive is, or was, I would say, and so the need to adapt was very important, right? So after these first years, then during the last 10 years, as you were mentioning before, I built different e-commerce businesses across several industries, fashion, sports, travel, and I live and work between France, Italy, and the UK. And yeah, I think that the most interesting thing is that, I had the chance to work with lots of talented people from all over the world. As you know, living in these big cities, that's what is one of the main benefits. And I've been in very great companies, as well, like Amazon, where of course you could really learn every day, basically, and becoming a better professional. So
Cool,
uh,
cool. So
that's me in a nutshell.
as I understand, the first financial crisis was a switch for you to move to the online e-commerce, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, that's right. And I think that, that's this what is happening right now. It can be very interesting moment for lots of people, which may be, in like me, right, in similar industries, I don't know, more established, and they would like to make a bet, right, on the online. And I think now we're definitely in a better place where we were
Yeah.
uh, at that time to do so.
Yeah, and now, as I understand, more and more people, the last one who is still not in online, who is still in offline, they will move to online. I think it is maybe not 100% of companies will move to online, but 80, 90 will be there.
Yeah,
So
yeah, which
this,
is amazing, right? It's it's a huge acceleration. I think that all fancy, big consulting group analysis been completely wrong, or let's say because of what happened the last months accelerate everything.
Okay. Yeah. And that's why I also have moved to online business. I did it 4 years ago,
Mhm.
but I never regret about this. Uh, you said absolutely correct thing that when you come to online, you instantly meet very interesting people all around the world. It's like it's not about physical borders, it's about your mindset.
Yeah.
Your mindset opens to the to people worldwide, and it is so interesting. They're like people all ages, and younger and older, and different genders and different nationalities and different geographics, and with different projects. And it is so interesting. It brings you more energy. You want to move, you want to create, you want uh, that's why I am an
Absolutely.
online, and that's why I am promoting the online business. Like I'm saying now that I'm ecom evangelist. Uh, I'm becoming to be an ecom
Great.
evangelist. So I'm saying everybody, let's move here. Please meet these brilliant people, and let's hear what has happened with you after you moved to online.
Yeah.
Can you tell us then?
Yeah,
Let's
sure.
start from this crisis. So you decided to move to online business. What happened after that? What was your experience in online?
Yeah, so I would say that the very first product, right, that I started selling, and this was before I joined Amazon, and while I was still in the automotive, was started selling skateboards.
Okay.
This was like late 2008, beginning of 2009, and this was with some friends. So at the time I was 24 years old. This was our passion. So it was not, I would say, a calculated bet. Was more a passion that then a little bit because we were different friends, but with different like skills. Some like more in design, some more in marketing. In my case, more in supply chain. So we combine our skills to build something unique and vintage. And at the time, also, I have to say that the skateboard segment market was booming in Europe, mainly because of new demographics. So there were more like women and girls that were starting skateboarding as well. So it was not like a male teenager product anymore, like in the past, as well as more older people. So also people in their 30s were skateboarding, which until then was not really the case. Um,
It's
so to
in,
give you
it's interesting because if you ask me whether I want to learn to skate now, I will say no. Because
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have.
Look, I just saw a guy that was, I think, 40 plus years old, like yesterday here in Athens, and yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty. It's like an era not very well known, right? Because it's still a niche. But I think that's what is the beauty of online is that you need to find your niche, right? You need to find your area where you can effectively add value. In our
Mhm.
case, was this combination of a vintage product of 70 skateboards and this kind of organic growth of the market. So to give just some numbers, always because I love numbers, is in 2008, this segment market size was 1.2 billion USD dollars and
In the world.
worldwide, and last year was 1.9 billion. So there's been a huge growth,
Hmm.
double digit over the
Hmm.
last 10 years. And this mainly also because, I mean, we all know that, when we talk about, for example, this, it was a source of fun, right? That was also helping, to be in a better physical shape around the body. So this, of course, is then emerged in the last 5 years with the fitness and all of that. So I think that was a great. I mean, was my first experience, which lasted for a couple of years, and the interest of that was mainly because it was an educational experience, right? Meaning that mainly for two reasons. The first, the fact that you learn to work with different profiles of people, like designers or marketers that until then work in automotive but didn't really have the possibility to do so. and and the second is more about the ability to build an end-to-end business and all, like, let's do a concrete example, being this in Italy, all the admin and bureaucracy that goes
Mhm.
with that. Yeah, it was really intense, and luckily today it's lots of this, say, constraint has been lifted.
So today
uh,
it's easier to start online than it was 10 years ago.
Definitely. Well, mainly for two reasons, right? First, it's the fact that you have already lots of ready-to-use platform,
Mm-hmm.
right? To start. I don't know, Shopify is probably an example, Magento, etc. Second, it's more about also lots of governments in the last 5 years realize the potential of startups, which from being, let's say, these small cool things for a few people became
Mm-hmm.
something also in Europe, with much more attention. Probably, I mean, if we think about different countries, you have lots of reality like Talent Garden in Italy, for example, or Station F in Paris, which are very good example of that, right? Where people can get access to experts or to tools to network much easier than what was just maybe 5 years ago.
Okay. And can you? I think everybody, young teams, every young team who are thinking of entering this business, they're
Yeah.
afraid that it is too expensive. Can you remember what was your amount of money with which you, with your friends, decided to start
Yeah.
all this thing?
Well, we started with a 30K euro
30K.
investment, with a 30K,
Ah,
with the,
30K.
with
Wow.
30K, with 30K, and we were also, let's say, three friends, like I was mentioning before, with one, let's say, some family support. But generally speaking, I think that at the time there were like these big concepts, which was like development, like you need to build your own thing.
Uh-huh.
Second, was more all these, let's say, capital necessary to just launch the business. Today, I mean, you need maybe 1 pound, or a few euros to start in Europe to with
How
this.
do you
So
think for young company, young teams today, what must be the amount of their budget to start
yeah.
and be successful?
Yeah, it really depends, I would say, on what is the product, right? Do you want to go on a product that is requiring an intense uh, marketing investments, for example, is an highly competitive area. For example, I don't know, food and wine. You want to go mass market, not on a niche, probably will be very expensive, right? So you will have an
Mhm.
investment which is probably more than what I said before. Or do you want to go maybe in a sports category, like the example I was saying of my first company? Maybe this is a niche. Then in that case, you may need maybe just 10K, right? 5K to start with,
Mhm.
and you will be mainly spending this on advertising and building a nice platform. So it really
Mhm.
depends a little bit. I would say there's not a fixed budget, of course, but what is great is that there are less and less barriers to tools and to know-how to do so, and that's what it's a great thing, right? It's a great step
Yeah.
forward.
And also, usually, I don't know, it was your first company when you started it 10 years ago. It was your first entrepreneur experience.
This one, yeah, in 2007,
Yeah, but
2007, yeah.
usually the first time it always goes with a lot of problems. So
Yeah,
what
yeah.
what what first problems you can remember, or you can tell people who are starting now to be ready uh, to
Yeah,
see
yeah, sure.
in their first year, or for their first 2 years of their entrepreneurship life?
Yeah, well, I would say three main things, right? So the first one is access to capital, right? So this is the very first thing, right? So let's not. I mean, you need to be a big dreamer, of course, if you want to launch a business, but you still need to understand what is to build a plan, right? To build a plan and to what's the access to capital. So it was a problem for us because there were few VC or accelerators, and so you were just basically have to go with a standard institution. So it was a bit tricky. So
You
that
you
was
started instantly to attract money from some opportunities, some companies, some
yeah.
funds, like instantly, like from the first year you started to search for
After
additional capital.
after 6 months. After six
Wow.
months. Yeah. 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 So that's one thing. The second one I would say is the talents, right? Is really important that so basically how you build your team, right? This is like there are probably like thousands of books now about
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
how to build your team or how to listen better your team or what are the leadership principles to follow when you launch a business. But so I don't want to, you have lots of great books. I mean, and the lean startup and so on. I mean, I don't want to to do any advertising for a specific author now, but I think that this is very important. Why? Because this need to be connected with your business, right? So if you want to, for example, let's make a concrete example. If you want to build an international business
hmm
in e-commerce, you probably need to think about having someone that is uh, has worked in several countries, or if not, that has, like, for example, supply chain and operation skills, right? Because you will need at a certain point in time. This may be a blocker for your growth. If you
hmm
if you want to work domestically, you really need to have and to go big domestically, you probably need someone that is really great in terms of local marketing needs, right? And it is really able to understand what is your local customer, right? So it really depends a little bit on what is your main goal, but overall, yeah, that these are the two probably most important things that you need to look at. And
capital, capital and talents.
yeah, yeah, these are the two main. I mean, these are the two things that may make you very successful or make you fail in a very short amount of time, right? So that's
Wrong people and lack of money. Yeah, absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
no there's no news. It's not very different from an offline business, I would say. It's just that you need different talents for online. This is something that I think that any company right now that is offline and want to go online uh, uh, needs to consider and not undermine that is very important to have the right people. Uh,
What main talents you have to find if you want to go online?
Yeah, I think there are three main areas, right? So the first, of course, is tech. If you want to go online, you need someone that is very strong in tech. So software development and overall, then it really depends on what is uh, your platform you're building on, which kind of language and front end, back end, depending on the different skills you're looking for. The second is in marketing for sure, and ads. Ideally, someone with which is very hard to find, which is has experience in SEO and advertising. This is very important. Uh, and last but not least, someone that has a more like on kind of, I would say, more operation and logistics expertise. But this ideally it may be required not the very first moment. It may also come at a later stage. But the first two are super important to build your product, basically.
At first, you have to. And what do you think? You first create your product, or you first sell your product, your future product? What do you do
Well,
first?
the steps that I followed generally were three, right? So the first was to assess what were the addressable market.
Yeah.
The second, what were within this addressable market, the business opportunity. So which products were still attractive in this specific area, and then finally, then starting with the proof of concept, the MVP, etc. I think that's something that I saw, even just mentoring, let's say, founders or startuppers, or some even more like advanced companies in the last years, is that you really need to have before you launch your product, you really need to test it with real customers, right? So
Right.
in lots of times, lots of people have a very, maybe it's a fantastic product, right? But it's very theoretical. It's a fantastic business plan. If you read the numbers and everything, you say, ah, it's great. But
Yeah.
then when they launch, then the customer is not really interested. And and this is not due because of maybe investments. It's just because there was not any, let's say, check was done with from a customer side, which is still the single most important thing at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
you say correct. There is no. My friend says there is no silver bullet, because if you start to sell first without the product, you have risk that when you bring the product to the market will say, "Hey, that's not what you were selling me. This is crap. I will not buy this." And if
Mm.
you invest money in creating a great product, then you can start selling it, and it will appear that market doesn't want to buy it, or it doesn't want to buy it at this price, and you have already lost huge amount of money.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I usually teach everybody who wants to do startup. I'm saying don't invest any euro until you sell something, like never. This is my own experience.
yeah,
I first go to sell. Then I see the market. Maybe I'll get some three, four, five bad reviews. I'll say sorry to them. I'll send money, the presents to them, but I'll see the feedback that my product is needed on the market, and only then I'm starting to invest in it. But you said
absolutely.
very important thing, yeah. This strategy can bring companies to the point where they sold a lot, but they get very bad reviews because the product was not not the same.
Yeah, that's the
I
downside, right?
yesterday.
Yeah, that could be the downside, right? That
Yeah.
you may sell, but then it's just transactional, basically. Like American says, and then it lasts for 6 months, 9 months, and then it's gone because
Yeah.
your reputation is very bad, and you basically have no future. So also the value at the end of your business, your company is not there.
The answer is entrepreneur has to feel the way to develop their company.
Mm.
Yesterday, I got a question. What would you uh, tell yourself
Hmm.
like 10 years ago? So, what you would tell yourself in 2007, 2008, when you have started to go to online business? Now has passed some time, a lot of time. You know a lot, but what you would
Hmm.
for who is in 2007, 2008?
Yeah, I think that this was the main thing is I would have done differently is that exactly to test more, to run more customer surveys, even to like to share more beta test options. So with even with closed networks, right, with friends, and to basically having a more customer centric approach. I think that the most important thing is really to understand who is your customer, right? Lots of people are amazed by their own products. You know, they are very excited. Hey, it's amazing. Let's do that. And but then if you do not really understand, you know, it could be a product, for example, that could be valuable both for B2C or B2B, for example, right? This is completely different. So when you build a platform or when you have to start a business, you really need to understand what you want to achieve, right? And so these two things, probably customer centricity, so understand who's the customer, and to business planning, so build a
Mhm.
more detailed plan, is something that I would tell myself if I was
Yeah,
in
yeah,
2007. But again, to fail is not bad, right? I mean, to fail and to learn, you know, like you said, if you do not invest a big amount of money, it's better to have a failed idea rather than dream of one that will not work.
yeah. That's right. Fail is just one step of your education. If you want to
Yeah,
move
yeah,
on, if you want to educate, don't be afraid to fail. Of course, everybody from the business knows about it. So, in 6 months' time, you started to search for money. How was happening the development afterwards, like the second year, the third year of this business?
yeah. So I think that, so what we did at the time was then to pivot to so basically to being a fashion company, not just sporting goods but also
Mhm.
fashion. And yeah, then the main goals were really to having a larger portfolio of products. The main struggle we went through is that doing a pretty high positioning product made in Italy was something, and again, back to the failure topic before, was something that
Mhm.
we undermine. So we spent basically other 6 months, a little bit, to establish if it was be able to, let's say, become a proper fashion
Mhm.
business or not. And then we finally decided just to refocus on the initial product, which was skateboards, like as I mentioned to you. And then finally, this company was then acquired by a French business, and of course was not the kind of exit that maybe at the very beginning we were targeting,
Mhm.
but it was a great experience, I think, for all the persons that were involved, as this was kind of the beginning of other experiences, let's say.
So it took you 2 years from start to be acquired?
Yeah,
2
correct.
years. Wow, that's very fast.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
very
yeah,
fast. Cool.
yeah. It was an issue.
But did
Was
you
an issue. Yeah.
did you get funds? You said you started to attract funds in 6 months. Did you attract some money in the middle
Yeah.
for
So
this
one.
business?
Yeah. So the company at the end acquired us was basically invested after 6 months into us, and then
Ah,
so that's why there was so quick, the over 2 years. But and they basically were the main shareholders then at the end of the period. Um, so this is one of
this
the
is a good life hack.
this is one of the solution, right? So I think that's I mean, there are generally from what I see, three main areas, right, or three main approaches that when you launch a business you want. you need to assess is, do you want to go for a mid long term business? It's like what you really want to do over a long period of time. So to
Hmm.
build something that is big, or that it's really what you want to do it's your passion in your life, for example. Is it something that you target to basically more to do an exit over 2 3 years period of time, or is it maybe just a way to diversify your existing business? So, like the example we're doing at the beginning, what they're doing in lots of businesses right now. I'm an offline business, and I would like to launch a new revenue stream online. So it
Hmm.
will never be the core of my business, but it's something that may be interesting for me in critical periods. So to have to diversify. So this is a little bit the the way I see it. In our case, we were in the second case scenario.
Okay. So how do you think the again young people who want to start online business, can they put themselves a target to sell their business in 2 3 years? Is it possible today to start online business today and to sell it in 2 3 years like successfully?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I think it is. I think that what is more important is to really understand that the environment, of course, change, right? So the competition is different. So it's much 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 more important to make more business planning and to have a better understanding of what is the exact customer type you are targeting. um, the time frame, it can be very variable, right? It really depends. Maybe if you're a tech company and you develop an amazing product, in you may need more time, 4 or 5 years. If you are like a company that creates in a patent for a new product, which is meeting the demand, then it may happen maybe even in 1 year time. So it really depends on what's your product. But I think that having in mind a 2 to 3 years period, it's something that is more conservative and correct to do.
How do you think what these again young companies, young teams, if they have some, I don't know, 10, 20K today, euro or 20,000 euro, they're starting online business today. How
Mhm.
do you think what amount of money they can target that we want to earn this amount in 2 years, this amount in 3 years? How do you think what must be a target if they are starting today, like with 20,000 key?
You mean, Alex, what's the target in terms of funding, or in terms of
Profit, profit.
well,
Everybody is starting business to earn money, right?
yeah,
And everybody who will watch us and who is watching us, who is doing the online business, they think, okay, and what amount of money can I earn on this? So, okay, I have
yeah,
with
sure.
my friend 20,000 euro. Okay, I'll find talented people. We will find out how to build. We'll invent some product. Hopefully, it will be a good product, and hopefully, we will do good. What amount of money it is possible to earn starting with 20,000 K in 2 3 years? How do you think?
Yeah. Well, it really depends on the growth of your product, right? And in which category you operate, right? So basically, how marginal is the category in which you operate, right? And do you foresee to have more to to grow your business, like internationally? So it will be more around how much you will grow your revenue, or is more about profitability? I think that anyway, if we look at let's say cross industries and e-commerce, so talking about media or sports, fashion, food, in the first couple of years, uh, you can't consider more than a couple of millions probably in the first 2 years where you operate. But it really depends then on what is the size of your business and what is your product, right? Talking about
You think it is possible to get the revenue of a couple of millions in 2 years, or
yeah,
even profit?
absolutely. No, no, even profit. I'm talking profit. Yeah,
Even
yeah.
profit too. Cool.
In 2 years time,
Wow.
on a period of 2 years time,
Wow.
right? So this
This
is
is a real possibility for companies like from all over the world. It's huge money.
yeah, yeah. It depends really where you operate, right? It really depends where you operate. I'm talking here about the business. Let's say of a team, for example, of 20 people that is doing a more than 30% growth month over month,
Hmm.
and that operates at least in 4 to 5 countries. So just to put a little bit of of numbers, otherwise it's really hard just
Yeah,
to
yeah.
launch a number in the air. But yeah, we it's really hard to then throw a number because of course you have businesses with very tiny profits, right? So of course you will need probably a, a longer time frame to get there. You have other products maybe that in 1 year already can get there. So it really depends on, like I was mentioning at the very beginning of our chat, right? On the team, the people in the end are are, are the key factor in making this happen.
Okay. Thank you very much for this answer. It is very optimistic, and I think everybody who watches us will think now that he has opportunity and he has to take it. After people choose the product and learn how to do the marketing, there comes the supply chain. As I understood, we both are people from the supply chain originally. You
Yeah,
said that your university and your magister degree, you did it about the supply chain. So I have a question about the logistics because WAPI is not only logistics. WAPI helps in general. We call ourselves a trading back office in Europe. So we
mhm,
help with any issues except marketing and choosing the product. When from which company to trade, how where to open the bank accounts, what will how to bring the goods, how to clear the customs. We help with everything to our clients before, and then the goods are already ready for sale there on the warehouse. They are ready to be fulfilled and delivered. And there we have this IT system that brings you one place for 14 countries in Europe. And of course, for us, the main question is competition with FBA. So I wanted to ask you the question: how do you think? What are the pros and cons versus FBA versus FBA only versus your own logistics?
yeah. I think that to run, is your own logistics. I mean, you're an expert in this area, so I'm not telling you anything new, but you it could be very complex, right, to run your own logistics. So if you're not supported by highly skilled profiles or let's say advisors, um, it could be tricky, right? So we do not need to underestimate that it's just a plugin and and go. It's a bit more complicated than that, luckily or unfortunately, depending on point of view. So uh, at an initial stage, what I would say is that it could be useful even for the founder at the company, even if you're an expert of marketing, let's say you don't know anything about supply chain, to get closer to what are the supply chain constraints of your business, right? Especially if you want to operate not just in your market but international, right? And when it comes then to to your question, Alex, which FBA or other solutions, and what are the pro and cons? But well, FBA is a solid program, right? It exists since 10 plus years, or probably more. It is great for mid-sized businesses that want to grow in multiple locations, and that they want at the same time to automate lots of processes, right? That lots of instances are still very manual. So um, what I recommend if you need to start your business is to understanding first what if your specific product category exists in FBA program, and how it is on Amazon, and then to assess, then to launch if the capabilities exist. But overall, if you're like if you just launch, let's say, just let's say 1 month, you launch your business, right? You want to start your operations in a couple of weeks. You should really consider more businesses like yours that give you probably an end-to-end support right at the very first steps. You will not have the complexity of going through different departments, or to go through let's say a program that is pretty complex for non-experts, let's say. uh, and Eventually also consider, I don't know, if you just want really to to look not at an end-to-end service, but just, let's say, to the logistics area. I don't know, consider a company like Fort or Beacon or other companies that work in this space. So yeah, that's what I would recommend. So if you then want to, maybe in 6 months, in 1 year, you want to go international, so not to operate just in your local market, and your business is already pretty significant size. Let's say that you already have, I don't know, up to 2 million revenues as a minimum, right? Then it may make sense then to operate with the business like Amazon, and especially to like adopt their program, like pan-European FBA program, which of
Mm-hmm.
course will basically, that will manage everything for you. So in that case, scenario makes sense. If you're a smaller business, after 1 2 years, you may consider maybe to diversify, for example, right? Like, for example, you use your services for some markets where you are more strong, and
Mm-hmm.
you will use more other like FBA, let's say, for example, to go into other markets. So it's very important always to keep in mind what is your business plan in terms of local presence, and that's essential to understand the size of your business as well, and the skills you have within your organization. We always go back to people point at the end.
Okay, super. But you said that you were working in Amazon, right? In
Yeah,
Amazon
working.
fashion.
Yeah, working Amazon and supply chain and retail for several years. Yeah.
um, for several years. So you were building the logistics in FBA in Amazon, right?
I was in supply chain operations, exactly, which is basically a department which is between working between retail businesses, suppliers, and carriers, and fulfillment centers. So it's a little bit in between all of this.
Okay. I think I can't ask you some sensitive question about this because it is not allowed you by the agreement because of
Yeah,
how everything is done there.
yeah.
Uh,
It will be probably
but
beeped then, but
yeah, yeah, yeah. But we have to beep this. Okay, but it's very interesting. You suggest that the small companies that don't have as much experience, for them it is better to go with own logistics,
Yeah,
and when
but
they
you need to
grow.
start small, right? You need to start small in your country, ideally with the local carrier,
Yeah,
someone that you can reach out in your network, maybe an entrepreneur that already launched. And then after that, then when you are a bit more confident, right, with what you are doing at the end of
yeah,
the day, so what is your business, so you understand all the limit also, right, the risks, then it makes sense to opt for other solutions, and then and an intermediate solution. And of course, like your business right now, you have lots of services that just 5 10 years ago you didn't have, right? So that may support you in this journey, right? Because we can't have skills in all areas, and when you're a founder, you need just to execute on few things. You can't
mhm,
understand everything, so it's great
right,
to have an humble approach, basically, and to say, okay, I'm not knowledgeable. Let's go to talk to the expert for that.
right. So I understood how I can ask you the question so that it will be absolutely politically correct. Uh, what will you
Yeah.
suggest to Amazon FBA competitors? What would you tell them how what they have to do, or what they have possibility to do, or what would you suggest them to do to compete with Amazon?
Well, it's a really tough. Yeah, it's it's a very good questions, right? And I think that there are three things, right? The first, you really need to understand where you can add value, right? There are lots of countries and where Amazon do not operate, right?
Hmm.
And to bring a service that can be basically giving you value both in the countries where Amazon operate and they don't operate, may add, for example, you a value as a business. That
Hmm.
would be the first thing. The second thing is that uh, you should give more consulting services. So generally, when you're a startup, apart if you have a very strong supply chain team member, you focus more on your product, on software development, on marketing. So this may be an area where it makes sense to have an advisor,
Hmm.
and therefore building, like, let's say, initiatives and specific programs may be interesting, because of course a more, let's say, human approach to the entrepreneur, and maybe another factor that could be interesting, right, in this scenario. And last, I would say, is also a matter of network, meaning that as a company, of course, you may be part of, work with, for example, some VCs or accelerators. Europe, probably in the last couple of years, it is the worldwide the area where there's been more investments in, or more new, let's say, at least not maybe in value, but more new VC and accelerators surface from not only UK and Germany, but also in other countries. So uh, to having more let's say, synergies with these players, it could be very interesting, right? Uh, so these are the three areas, I would say. So if you
Countries, more consulting clients on different questions, and synergy with other services.
correct.
Cool. Thank you. This was very useful. This was very useful.
Cool.
I understand about the countries. Of course, we use it. to give more consultants is the thing that we started to do from the first day. We were always saying that we're not just logistics, we're your partners. We will help you to build everything with all your questions. Synergy with other services, this is something that we have to start doing because it gives you strength and network, and together you can compete. That's right.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much. We have now a little bit run of time. We have 6 minutes left. And as always, in the end, I ask three questions to my guests.
Okay.
The first question is, tell us about three takeaways, three short things, sentences that uh, people who watch us can take away with them and be successful in online business. Three takeaways: how to
Yeah.
be successful in online business.
So the first is really to build your plan, right? So what are your main priorities when launching e-commerce? So do you want, like was mentioned before, build a mid long term business? Do you want to sell your business in a 2 years time to a market leader, or do you want to open new revenue streams? So it's really important that since day one you kind of assess what's your plan, right? So even if it's very difficult, right? Because it's a bit unpredictable. The product maybe still needs to be evolved or improved. Of course, nothing is perfect.
Mhm.
So that's the first. The second is who's your customer and what experience you would like to build for her or for him. So this is probably the single most important thing I would say,
Who
because
is
that's,
your customer?
yeah, who's your customer and what experience you would like to build. So it's really to understand what are you going after, right? So you need to have a clear idea about this, not, let's say, very high level idea like classic demographics, like okay, this is for millennials, and this a bit more really to go deep, and like it was mentioned before, to run proper, uh, test of your products, customer service, in-person meeting with customers, so really interact as much as possible.
You mean not to focus on the product, but to focus on the customer
Correct.
and search the customer.
Correct.
Good.
Correct. And last but not least, to build, then once you've done one and two, then build your core team so that you can build this MVP or this product, let's say.
Build your core team.
Yeah. So what are the core skills, the core talents you need in your team, right? So this is something also that is a bit underestimated uh, when you launch by lots of startups, at least. And these may really give you a competitive advantage or being a, let's say, growth blocker, right? So yeah, these would be my three tips, I would say.
Absolutely agree with the third. Great people is like, for me, is the main energy for the business. I spent huge amount of time on searching, choosing, teaching, communicating with my people, bringing the right talents and giving them the right obligations and responsibilities, putting them in the right place. When you do it correct, you see the energy, you see the fuel, you see the speed, because the right people at the right place, they are doing significant results. Build your
Absolutely.
core team. Okay, the next question is three don'ts. So three things that you would suggest people to do never. Never do one, two, three, because this is a fail. I saw this, I did, I don't know, just don't do this.
Yeah. Well, the first, this, I mean, I clearly borrowed this from Jeff Bezos, right? Is do not obsess on competition, right? It's very
Okay.
important that you do not obsess on your competition, because what I see also in my experience and this is valuable across all the industries, right? If you spend very a lot of time on this, you would basically take out energies that you could have put maybe in building your team, like you were saying before, or doing something more valuable for your customers. So that's the first one. The second one is do not undermine the complexity of e-commerce. So today, I think that if you look at lots of ads, right, that we see all on social media, it looks like, is in 3 days you can launch your business.
Yeah.
It may be the case. Maybe yes, you launch in 3 days, but how? Right? The key question is how. So no, like everything is, no pain, no gain. So you
Yeah.
have to spend time to study, to listen, to reach out to lots of people, and then yes, try. Maybe you will fail, but you can just start from scratch and in 3 days to do something. So do not undermine the fact it's not because it's online e-commerce then it's simple. um, and three, again, do not underestimate the importance of building a strong team. So
Okay.
this is like, I mean, I'm thinking about some offline business that I talked to in the last 6 months,
Yeah.
that literally is not just about hiring someone in marketing and a software developer. Is much more complex. So it's very important that you have the right skills. If you don't have the skills, you can find them. And like you were saying at the very beginning of our chat, you is a global word, right? So what we all discover at the different extent in these last weeks, months, is that you can virtually meet anyone, you can work with anyone, and excluding the time zone, there are very little constraints to that.
Super. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's very important things what you're talking now. And the last one, the last question that I always ask is not about online business, is about life in general.
Hmm.
So you are a successful businessman, specialist in online business. Can you share with us some three life hacks just of your life, how to be successful in life in general?
Well, I think that you need to, at least that's what I try to do, is that you need to be passionate, you need to love what you do every day, so that you are driven. And you can be about an initiative, it can be about a new business, can be as a team leader. This is personally what fuel my everyday life, and stay humble and alert all the time, so that you make sure that you're able to revert your decision quickly. So as we say, only dumps don't change their mind, right? So, and I know my favorite quote is, minds are like parachutes, right?
Minds
So
are like parachutes.
parachutes, they only function when open. So that's
I can hear it. Cool.
which is a
Yeah.
was a Scottish whiskey producer that is called Thomas Dewar, that said that. And I think it's very important to basically keep an open mind, and this will help you to succeed, but also to fail
Yeah.
in a less critical way, let's say.
Cool. So be passionate to do what you are doing. Do it with passion. Have your mind open. And the third one, I skipped it.
And and make sure that you are able to to basically stay humble all the time, so that you can challenge yourself basically.
Ah, okay,
Be
okay.
self-critical, if you want to say any different way.
Be critical and be out of the box. It pretty near to open-minded, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's more about open mind, is more about stay open to the other ones, and stay humble is more about also, I mean, understand that your decision may be wrong, and maybe in 2 days you may need to change that, because I don't know, the market landscape changed, like it happened to thousands of businesses in the last months, right?
Okay, thank you, Filippo. It was a wonderful webinar. Thank you that you
Thank you.
agreed to be my guest today. Everybody who needs consultancy, who has a big company already in online, who need to share experience, to ask any questions to Filippo, we will share his contacts, email. You can send an email, and I think Filippo will be open with his mind open parachute to help you. Maybe you'll get some business together. With us, please stay tuned because we have all next Thursday will be the next webinar. Very, very interesting. We will tell you about the service that helps to get the first sales and first reviews on Amazon. Please sign up to our webinars and join our community. My name is Alexander Fridman, company WAPI, and I hope you all be lucky, wealthy, and healthy. Thank you, Filippo.
Thank you, Alex. Bye.
Okay, good luck. Ciao.